So, hi there, hi all. So, thank you for being here. So, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our guests today. People from Canada, people from UK, France, Poland. So, it's a big pleasure to be here today. My name is Lucas PEREZ. I'm a French expert, a strategic expert in the field of healthcare and aging. And I'm also one of the French representatives for the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, supported by the European Commission. And it's a large European network of entrepreneurs, innovators, academics, and investors all across Europe. So it's a big pleasure to be here today, especially talking about one of my favorite subjects, that is goods and services for the senior population. And when we speak about goods and services for the elderly population, so we speak about, we talk about the silver economy, this giant marketplace that everybody knows under the name of silver economy. But what does it mean exactly? What does it mean? Silver economy, is this economy universal? Do seniors have the same needs from one country to another? And I think our panelists have the answer for that. And to respond this question, we have the pleasure to welcome here Alex Mitchell with the UK National Innovation Centre for Aging. We have Marzena REDNICKA with the Polish Institute of Silver Economy. We have Moira Allan with Perceton Network. And we have also our friend from Canada, Jonathan BELANGER, from Villa Saint-Rose. So before giving them the floor, I inform the audience that we have a couple of time just after the talk to answer a few questions, one question in English and another question in French for our friend who is a French-Canadian. And now, who would like to be the first to introduce himself? Maybe REDNICKA?
Okay. Thank you for the invitation. It's nice to be with you. It's not my first time on the Silver Economy Festival. And my correct name is Marzena REDNICKA in Polish. I know that is difficult. I am the founder of Polish Institute of Silver Economy. It's a social economic think tank. And I am an expert on the Polish Academy of Sciences. And in our institute, we work with public entities as well as with big businesses to help prepare them to this demographic change. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, REDNICKA. And now, Moira, you have?
Hello. Very happy to be here in Cannes, and looking around the stage, I can say that my expertise is being an older person. I'm the co-founder of an international network that's called the Pass It On Network. And our job is to find out what's happening in the world and to pass it on, because this phenomenon is a real global phenomenon. I represent also today an organization that's called Old Up, which is a French organization created by people when they were 75, because their biggest wish in the world was to find the real purpose of the longevity that health and science has given us all. Thank you.
Thank you, Moira. And Alex, it's your turn.
Thanks, Lucas. So I'm Alex Mitchell, and I'm Head of Operations and Strategic Partnerships for an organisation called Voice, which is embedded within the UK's National Innovation Centre for Ageing. Voice is an international, intergenerational network of members of the public, so patients, carers, ex-professionals, who are passionate about working with businesses and innovators to develop new products and services for healthy longevity and aging. So at the heart of what we do is we harness that lived experience, which can really support innovators to identify unmet needs. So what we do is we work with businesses to develop solutions that are genuinely evidence-based and needs-led.
Yeah. Very interesting, also about the needs. And Jonathan Bélanger, the last but not least.
Donc, bonjour, je m'appelle Jonathan, je suis le directeur général de la Villa Sainte-Rose, une résidence pour aînés privée, l'équivalent d'un EHPAD privé situé à Laval, au Québec, au Canada. On a une équipe de 110 employés à la Villa Sainte-Rose pour prendre soin de nos 110 résidents qui sont en perte d'autonomie avancée. Pour ma part, je suis un ingénieur en automatisation. Je viens du monde de l'aérospatial que j'ai quitté pour reprendre l'entreprise familiale, la Villa Sainte-Rose. Et aujourd'hui, je suis ici parce que je crois sincèrement que la technologie a un rôle essentiel à jouer pour faire face aux défis démographiques qui est devant nous. Évidemment, puis avec mon background, mon expérience en technologie comme ingénieur et maintenant l'expérience que j'ai acquis dans le secteur de la santé à la Villa Sainte-Rose, on souhaite se positionner pour être un laboratoire d'innovation où on va pouvoir aller tester et démontrer le potentiel et le rôle que la technologie peut jouer pour nous aider à faire face au vieillissement de la population. Donc, je suis bien heureux d'être ici aujourd'hui avec vous.
Alors, très intéressant, merci Jonathan. So, I'm switching in French, for those who speak French. On pourra te poser des questions à la fin du débat, in French.
Both in English and in French,
oh, both.
Is
yeah.
that right? So,
okay.
No worries.
Copy that. So my first question is about Jonathan, or maybe Moira, because we speak about this economy, this giant economy that is silver economy. And my first question is silver economy universal for you?
Well, it certainly is universal because the numbers of older people in the world is unprecedented. We all know that we're living a demographic revolution. And therefore, the silver economy, which is very, very wide, has to do with absolutely every single aspect of our lives. Because as science is promising that we're going to live longer and longer, we need to be aware of the fact that we're going to be living also in a more healthy way, and therefore have needs in every single sphere, whether it be on lifelong learning, or tourism, or sport, or culture, whatever, absolutely everything. And the silver economy then, for me, just relates back to the fact that there's a stage, and it's like also a marketing thing where we segment economy, whereas in real life, everything's mixed up and intergenerational and should be absolutely more and more intergenerational.
So thank you, Allan. And my question for you, Jonathan, so what do you think about this economy from your Canadian perspective?
Yeah, I fully agree that the concept of silver economy is indeed universal. It transcends border and nationalities. The challenge that posed by the aging population is something that we will all face no matter where we're from, because we're seeing those demographic shifts that will challenge societies, where we're seeing increase in life expectancy. We have a tsunami of baby boomers who will require more care in the future. And at the other end of the demographic spectrum, we're seeing a collapse in birth rate pretty much everywhere in the world, or in most countries in the world. So we know that we will have to provide more care to more elderly people, but we will have less employees to do so. So we are going to need to be able to do more with less. And the only way to do that, in my opinion, is through technology and innovation. So we'll have to adapt to this new reality, and I hope we can share notes along the way, because we'll need to share like best practice and breakthroughs, because I don't see this as a race or a competition. It's rather, I would say, demographic puzzle. We could call it the demographic time bomb that we have to solve together, basically.
So the vocabulary is very anxious, you know, about the tsunami, about this boom, demographic boom. And so what is interesting also, it's about the needs of the seniors population. And my question is for Alex. So though seniors have the same needs from one country to another, so we had this debate just before this conference. So what's your opinion about the needs that could vary from a senior to another seniors or from a country to another country?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, as we've mentioned, there are absolutely shared needs from one country to another. But they are subject to various factors, such as healthcare needs within a country, community support, housing and accessibility, the uptake and adoption of technology. So, so although there's shared needs, I think how we address those needs can be completely different from geography to geography. And what we need to do as a global innovation community is get better at identifying what these unmet needs are, both shared and different, and generate a discussion on healthy longevity. And we can only do that by connecting and engaging with communities effectively. I thought what you were saying about the silver economy actually being a multitude of economies together, I think it's absolutely spot on. And I think we need to start looking at changing it from a silver economy to multiple longevity economies that touch on different domains. And what we're doing at Voice is trying to, or is working towards facilitating that international, intergenerational dialogue. So although we're very well established here in the UK, we're in France. In the UK, we are establishing chapters in Singapore, Taiwan, Canada, Australia, the US.
Africa?
Not yet, but it's high on my list.
Nigeria?
Yeah, absolutely.
Johannesburg?
Yeah, absolutely. We're looking to establish in Africa. But what we can do then is work with businesses who, say, might have a fantastic product that is tailored to the needs of users in the UK, but how does that innovation need to be tailored to other geographies and other communities? What cultural nuances do they need to be aware of? And what that's doing is then supporting businesses to have a global impact. So yeah, in terms of how do the needs differ, the needs will differ. There will be those shared experiences, but it's about identifying them and then supporting businesses to really address those needs.
Thank you for this comprehensive answer. So my next question is for Marzena. So can you tell us a bit more about this demographic change we talk about and the technological revolution that Poland is facing? For those who don't know, Poland, demographic change.
Yes. The clash of two megatrends, the historic demographic shift and the technological revolution, necessarily force changes in consumer markets and the labor markets. What this look like in Poland? In Poland, older people account for 25% of the population. It is 10 million people. If we compare our population, our senior population, to the population of individual European Union countries, it turns out that if Polish senior citizens were to establish their country, it would have more inhabitants than the individual countries in 1/3 in the European Union. We are also one of the fastest aging countries in Europe, which means that this historic demographic change is taking place in us in a very dynamic way. This is forcing an increasing focus on business, on the needs of the elderly, but it's also creating the new opportunity for a new social dialogue between generations. Our institute started 10 years ago, and we have come a long way on the Silver Road during this time. We started with a definition of the silver economy as an activity focusing on the specific needs of older people, particularly dependents. What about the rest of the senior population, who are outside the main focus of marketers and the labor markets, but are still healthy and want to be active? Today, after 10 years at the Institute, we are at the place where we are building a new definition of inclusivity and cooperation. However, when I look at the action in different countries, I often see that inclusivity is thought of as an action towards only older people. For example, inclusivity in the labor market often has a definition of inclusivity towards the 50 plus. But we understand this in another way. In my view, effectively connecting the generations will enable us to deal with demographic challenges and build an age-friendly world for all ages. Thank you.
So very interesting. Also about the concept of diversity and inclusivity. So I would like to know more about that. So as you mentioned, there is a big demographical change all across Europe, but also all across the world. And my next question is about longevity, the concept of longevity that is a subjective but also an objective concept. So longevity is multiple, you know. It's about the biological longevity or a biological clock, the human body, for example. But it's also about the psychological longevity, you know, your mind, your brain. And my question is about this concept of longevity and what longevity means for the different world citizens from UK, from Poland, from Canada. So what is for you longevity from your perspective? Maybe Jonathan.
Yes, well, I mean, as I said, I think the various challenges that comes with the demographic shift will be, felt in different ways in different point in time, given the demographic situation and the economic measures and the measures already put in place by the local government. And I think we need to plan to account for that and to plan accordingly. And when I look at what's happening in Canada, I mean, we're pretty much already at capacity when it comes to how many people we can have in our long-term care facilities and basically how much care we can provide. And as I said, we know we have a tsunami of baby boomers coming our way, and we know we will have labor shortages in the future. So I think we, like bridging this care gap will require technology and innovation. And when I see new facilities being built that by design have to heavily rely on human labor and our basically a capacity to staff this building, I can't help but feel like we're going down the wrong road. Since I see the new facilities currently being built in Quebec, for example, that will require just about twice as many employees at the facilities that we currently have in order to run. So I think we should aim instead to operate with less employees using the latest and greatest technology available. And we sadly chose to invest in new buildings, to invest in brick and mortar. And instead, I think we should invest massively in new tech that will truly help us solve the demographic puzzle ahead of us. So I think that's something to take into consideration.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Jonathan. And Moira, can you tell a bit more about this concept of longevity?
You know, one of the biggest problems that older people face today is, there are two of them, they're boredom and loneliness. And here we've got medical science stretching our lives longer and longer, and these questions are not really being addressed. And I'm very much in favor of taking, totally, I agree with everything that you say, but the ambient atmosphere that needs to be fostered is one of intergenerational and acceptation. And this means an outright attack on ageism, because ageism really just writes you off. You know, you get to 60, 65, and suddenly you're invisible to the society. And yet you're going to have 20 to 30 years to live after that, before you get into the homes. So the interest of everybody is to have prevention, to lead a healthy life, and a full, healthy life. So I advocate with all my heart for aging literacy, teaching children from this age that it's a life course that they're on. And especially the youngsters, they're going to, born today, we all say they're going to live to at least 100 years. So they need to be informed about this. And we need to really get rid of this ageist attitude where being young is the right thing. And I think one of the biggest and best things that I learned recently was that in America they did a survey and 67% of the plus 60 people said, I would rather be useful than youthful. I loved it.
So thank you. I saw your poster, Marzena. So what about this poster?
I have something for you.
Wow. No ageism. Wow.
It's a really important value, and it's for you.
Oh, thank you.
Whoa.
Welcome.
So, Marzena, so you were talking about your new approach with... Give a round of applause for Marzena. So you were talking about your institute, the mission your institute is bringing to the world and from Poland. And my question is about your institute, the missions of your institute, and age inclusion, the concept of age inclusion.
Thank you. Age inclusion is a key in our all activities. And during my long work in this area, I changed the paradigm approach from focusing on the specific needs of the older person as an individual to moving towards age diversity in the population. Here I wanted to emphasize the difference between age diversity, which is a fact, and inclusivity, which is the result of action taken. Hence the name we introduced another claim, age inclusion makers. Because that makers has a meaning. And when it comes to specific tools that we have implemented in the Polish market, 3 with international organizations. First, OK Senior quality mark. This is a goods and service certification system which, using an audit and a mystery shopper, distinguishes those companies that are age-friendly. The certificate is renovated every 2 years and has international companies, including French companies like Orange and BNP Paribas, for example. Second tool is the Age Inclusion Maker Employer Certificate. Audits and companies' age diversity management skills, what the age structure looks like, whether the organization can employ people of different ages, whether it can combine ages in teams, and what programs it runs in the area of age management. And second tool is something like online third university for seniors, but only for B2B sector. It's called abcsenior.com. Our tools are scalable, and we are ready to go to cooperate with foreign companies. So this is an invitation to you, and we can start to cooperate with our clients, international clients in your country. So it's about our institute. Thank you.
What a big network! Especially regarding the fact that BNP Paribas or other big partners like universities
yes.
are in the loop. So
Universities and similar institutions like our. So, as a non-government organizations and commercial subjects are really good for
a mix between the private and the public sectors. Finally,
we are like a bridge between private, public sector, knowledge world, and academic world, and the biggest companies, big business, because there are also innovators in their areas of business.
Okay, it's clear. And my last question is about the cultural factor of this giant marketplace that everybody knows under the name of silver economy. So my last question is for you, Alex. Is the cultural factor determining from another country, from a country to another country? And yeah, I think it's interesting because we talk a lot about the demographic change, the financial aspect of the silver economy, but I think that culture is also part of this giant economy all across the world, and I want to have some clarifications about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we absolutely need to respect and be aware of the cultural factors influencing healthy longevity, innovation, solutions that we develop. If we take social and community support, for an example, in the UK, there's a lot of reliance on community centres and government-funded kind of activities and initiatives. But many older people live independently and alone. It's not commonplace for older people to live with family, so therefore they don't have that direct community family support. Through our work in Taiwan, that's obviously completely different. It's very commonplace for multiple generations to live in the same home. So, and again, if we look at kind of long-term care in the UK, long-term care facilities are reaching capacity. So things are going to have to completely change in the next 30 years. So by 2050, as most of you will know, by 2050 there will be over 2 billion people aged over 65. So that's more than double what it is now. So we in the UK are going to have to look to move towards a more multi-generational living situation. If we look to do that, then we're going to have a look at the current housing stock and how that needs to be adapted. We need to have a look at new housing stock to see how that needs to be designed well to fit the needs of multiple generations. So although in Taiwan it's a cultural thing that people are more likely to move in with their families, I think we've got to look at how cultures can change over the next 30 years, given the needs that will be kind of highlighted and determined. So at NICA, at the National Innovation Centre for Aging, we've been working with housing designers to design 4-generational homes, because we know that that's the way that we're going to have to go in terms of developing the new housing stock. So although we need to be, as I say, aware of the current cultural factors, we need to be fully aware and respectful of how things will change in the next 30 years, and we need to start innovating for that 2nd billion now.
Yes, it's very interesting. When we talk about the cultural factor. So now it's time for the closing words. And if you have last words to the audience, so you're up, guys. Maybe we can start with you, Moira.
My closing word would simply be the following, and that is, from the time you're born and you get that first slap on your back, and you take in a breath, your imperative is growth and development. And that imperative stays with you until you breathe your last breath. Just think about it. And at every stage of your life, the imperative is different. And as much as we help and nurture and mentor young people or our children throughout life, we, as we get older, also need some understanding, mentoring, and lots of love.
Thank you. Marzena.
I think that aging is not a problem or challenge. Individual seniors, elderly adults, is a challenge for all societies, included young generations, and not only particular countries, but in all world. We have to think and redefine our thinking about this process and new era and new challenges and new world, because we want to live longer and longer. That is why what we have, and it's a good situation for us, but not easy for us, for all of us.
Okay, and Alex.
Yeah, I'd like to end on emphasizing the importance of collaboration. I think there's not one country, one business, one community that can solve the challenges associated with longevity alone, which is why I love kind of being part of these international panel discussions, because there is so much we can learn from each other. There's amazing initiatives going on in each country, and it's about how we can get smarter and more efficient with highlighting what those successful initiatives are and implementing them globally. So yeah, collaboration, collaboration, collaboration.
Okay, think global. And Jonathan.
Well, I believe we're now on the verge of one of the greatest demographic challenge we've seen in history, and we simply can't assume that the next 30 years, we can't extrapolate based on the past 30 years to assume what's going to happen in the future. We have to take a good look at the data and fully assess the situation we're in and plan accordingly. The good news is that we have a lot of brilliant people working on a lot of brilliant solutions to solve this. And another good news is that we're seeing traction around the age tech sector like we've never seen before. And I'm very confident we'll find a way forward through innovation and technology in the care sector. And I'm also very confident that I'm in the right place right here, right now at the Silver Echo Festival to see it all happen. So I'm really glad to be here.
So thanks. Thanks all. So thank you so much for this amazing panel.